Good morning, everybody. Apologies for the slight delay in the start of today's webinar. So thank you all for registering for the seminar today, which is for finance advice and startup for small businesses. Today is a follow-on for the previous seminars that have actually been delivered in partnership with Cheshire and Warrington Growth Hub. So just want to go through and talk to you a little bit about the Cheshire and Warrington access to finance. Next slide, please. Okay, next slide, please. So Cheshire and Warrington Access to Finance and Grant Service is an ERDF funded project which actually offers a range of services to small businesses within Cheshire and Warrington. We actually have a 33% grant towards consultancy projects which are to do with growth for SMEs. We've actually got the funding to actually to deliver the seminars which we're doing today, and I'll share with you a little bit later on about future seminars that we've got for the next quarter of 2022. We also have a very small grant available, which allows you to access one-to-one consultancy to help you actually make applications for any financial investment. So we have a packed agenda today. So I'll just go through the agenda with you. Next slide, please. So we have quite a lot of really knowledgeable information to share with you today. So we have Dave Sadlington from Cheshire and Warrington Growth Hub. We have Mike Byrne, who's an associate for Blue Orchid, who is a practicing accountant, who's going to share some really top tips with you. We have Chris Corral, who's Programme Manager from Cheshire and Warrington Business Growth Programme. And we have Glenn Hyde and Dave Martin from GC Finance, who's going to talk to you about startup loans. And finally, Sarah Bailey, who's the Director for Business Banking at Natwest throughout the Northwest. So I'd like to introduce you. We're going to start off with Dave Sadlington. So next slide, please. And welcome to Dave. I'm going to hand over now to Dave, who's going to talk about the business support available in Cheshire and Warrington.
Thank you, Karen, and good morning, everybody. My name's Dave Sadlington. I'm a business growth support broker. I joined the Growth Hub in May of this year, and as you can see, it's not been my first jobs from my appearance. I've actually spent over 35 years in banking, and in the last 8 years I've probably spent about 7 or 8 years in alternative finance type roles. So I think I've got a pretty good experience in terms of finance and support. Today I'm going to do an introduction to the Growth Hub, what is debt finance, a bit about government finance schemes, and also finish off with finance applications, some good practice, and then I'll be passing on to a real expert in that area. So next slide, please. Okay, what is the Growth Hub? I mean, basically what you've got in the Growth Hub covering what is Cheshire East, Cheshire West and Chester and Warrington council areas. It's a free and impartial service that's funded by the government, and we work with over 200 partners, of which we're doing so with some of them today. We work with businesses no matter what the size or the sector, and our service is bespoke to you and your business needs, and we will provide a range of support services that can help business growth. Some of the areas that we specialise in is obviously coronavirus, which is still ongoing support, exporting, finance, which is my bag, and growth, human resources, innovation, peer networks, skills, and specifically around startups. And obviously we're covering that today as well. So next slide, please, Fraser. Now, these are the two, we'll be sharing this information with you, but that's the email and the website to get in touch with us, and it's pretty straightforward. If you're on the website, you can contact us through that, or you can send us an email, and that's the email that we can be contacted on. Next slide, please. Okay, I pinched this from British Business Bank definition off their website, but it's pretty straightforward. What is debt finance? A definition. Well, it's not free money. It's money that's going to be borrowed to use in the business, and you will unfortunately have to pay it back with interest and fees over an agreed term. Now, it can include loans. I've quoted overdrafts, but unfortunately, I don't think banks really are in the market these days to do overdrafts. They may well do as you get more established, get to understand the business. Asset finance and invoice finance, and in terms of startups, you can occasionally look at those areas of support as well. But it's really my job to go through all of that area when I speak to you. So next slide, please. Okay, I thought I'd cover a bit of an update about government support schemes. I'm sure you're well aware of the bounce back and the what's abbreviated to be called the CBILS loan scheme. Now, both those have been closed for application for some time now, but obviously those loans are still outstanding. And when we're looking at finance and we're looking at increased finance, it's extremely important that we look at how those are going to be repaid over what term. Some of those, the government have allowed some of those schemes to be extended now from 6 years to 10 years, and there are various holiday periods that can be utilised. All I would say about that is please speak to your provider and get the best options for you. Now, the recovery loan scheme is still available for applications. That was extended. It was running out at the end of this month. It's now been extended until the 30th of June 2022. Now, that's there for businesses that have been impacted by COVID. So really, we're talking about businesses that were trading going into the COVID period. But I thought I'd put that on a slide today just to say that that is still available. So we could be dealing with businesses that have been running for a couple of years and you know, or longer than that, and we can give advice on that in terms of applications. So those are the schemes that are available. I can't really see that there'll be anything else specifically available through the government support schemes. However, that recovery loan expiry date, given the current situation, it may well still get extended, but obviously we watch this space. Okay, next slide, please, Fraser. Okay, now we've got some experts from GC Finance, I think, to go through the startup loan scheme in more details today, but it is an excellent scheme for startup businesses. I don't know whether everybody's aware of this, but basically it's there to be utilised in the first 2 years of a new business. It's not on there, but it's maximum of £25,000 per individual. I won't go into more details on that because that will be covered later on in the presentations. Okay, next slide, please. Now, under the Northern Powerhouse Investment Funds, through British, supported by British Business Bank, there are other areas and other funding schemes that we have direct partnerships with providers in the area. So the microfinance is the 25,000 to 100,000 loans, and they can be utilised by really good quality startups as extra finance to layer on top of a startup loan, particularly for growing businesses. And then debt finance probably for more established businesses in the 100,000 to 750,000 band. And also we do have providers in the area for equity finance of 50 to 2 million for innovative and fast growing businesses. And again, I advise customers and clients and businesses local in the area to apply for those as well. So next slide, please. Okay, I've mentioned the recovery loan scheme, so I'll skip over that. Another areas that we support is angel investors. We did actually ourselves have an event on the 30th of November covering this, and we are looking to see whether we can actually come up with our own network of local potential angel investors in the area. But we use GC Angels based out of Manchester, but there are other angel networks right across the country. For that, you'll need a business plan, pitch deck, and financial projections will be required. And again, we'll be talking about the package that you need to put together for any funding, not just obviously investment, but also loans as well. Next slide, please. Okay, my final slide really is, this is what I do when I speak initially to any business. There's no time limit, by the way, on support that we provide, or specifically that I can provide. But what I would tend to do when I initially speak to any clients or any business owners and shareholders, directors, is do a good thorough due diligence of what the situation is. Now, I just want to highlight some of these areas. This is really just from experience of my banking and finance funding background. Please maintain as good a relationship as you possibly can with your bank and your accountant, because even if the bank is not able to support you, you've still got to be and have a good ongoing working relationship with them for obvious reasons. And even if they can't support you now, it may well be as the business grows and becomes more profitable and more stable in the future, they could come back. The bank must be your first port of call, because they will undoubtedly be in the position to give you the lending at the cheapest borrowing rates. Financials are important, and again, we'll have another specific slide session coming in after me about what to put together. For existing business, it's obviously annual accounts and up-to-date management accounts, and at least a 12-month projection. Sometimes some funders actually ask you to actually put more of that in place. But any business I'm advising, even if you don't need finance in the future, it's good practice to maintain a 12-month projection of your P&L and your balance sheet. And as I say, Mike will be covering more details on that in the next session. Okay, loan repayments. As I've said before, no loan is a freebie. It's got to be repaid. And when you're looking to actually prove serviceability from your business to the provider, they will want to see where you're up to with your HMRC, if you've got any tax or any obligations. Existing loans can be repaid in addition to the new loan that you've been applied for. And a particular favourite of mine is credit ratings. You must always make sure that you're on top of where you are on your personal credit ratings, because they can be utilised and looked at when you put in any applications in. And also going forward, what your business credit rating is. Quite a lot of businesses I still speak to now, established businesses, don't know what their business credit rating is, and we can get a good indication from a source that we use to actually see that. But there's obviously other agencies that other people will use out there, but they tend to all come around about the same amount, same area for your business, and they can be improved. Believe me, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've got to substantially improve the business performance. It can be other areas that can have an influence on what your credit rating is. So last but not least, refinancing. If you've got existing finance, existing obligations, then speak to who's providing that to you and just see what steps can be taken to spread that out if need to. Just maintain a good, honest and open relationship. So last but not least, I just wanted to mention a couple of other areas today. I've mentioned the British Business Bank, who've got an excellent managing business debt 52-page document on their website. We will be providing links to that website for that to be available to you. And also, we get asked all the time about what grants are available. And because we service 3 local authorities, I'm not going to give you the exact details. What we will do is we'll provide links to those websites, because they are changing. Unfortunately, there's not a bottomless pit of money that's available, and they are by application through the websites, but we will be sharing that at the end of today and getting that information out to you. So next slide, please. Okay, just wanted to check and make sure that I'm finished. So that's my session today. I'll pass back to Karen and enjoy the day. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you for that. And again, you know, there's a wealth of advice being shared with you today. Really important that we reiterate that the Growth Hub is the central point for businesses to go to find out what local support is available. Just to let you know, all slides will be sent to attendees and will be available on our website, and so will the video. Should be available on Monday, but I'll go through that a bit later on. And again, I'll also share those links that Dave has mentioned. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Mike Byrne. Mike is an associate for Blue Orchid and a practicing accountant. He's been an access to finance manager for Birmingham Chamber of Commerce and a senior business advisor for 19 years. For 14 years, he's also was a manager of a business loan scheme and grant funding that's been provided to over, well, nearly 5,000 businesses. So Mike's got a wealth of experience and knowledge. And what we wanted to do today is really just give you some business finance tips and advice. And Mike's going to share with you some of the basics that we advise and recommend that you go through. So welcome, Mike, and I'll just leave you to your presentation.
Thank you, Karen. Thanks very much, and good morning, everyone. Yes, and from that introduction, you can understand that I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been responsible for managing sources of finance and helping people to apply for sources of finance. So I can see both opinions that might exist when someone makes an application for either a loan or a grant, or puts a proposal for some investment in their business. I can see what they're up against from their point of view as an applicant. I can see what issues are actually critical to a provider of finance. So I hope that that perspective is going to be useful. I'm going to spend a little bit of time with you going through some of those issues. Thanks to Dave, by the way, who gave a pretty comprehensive overview of how the Growth Hub can help right across the range of financial provision. So I'm not going to, in fact, I'm going to hopefully build on some of the things that he's mentioned, but I will be coming over some of the same sources of finance, and I know that you're going to be listening to a range of representatives from providers of finance this morning, and so I'm going to see what actually brings them together, because I'm sure they'll explain the differences in the different sources of finance from banks and from other sources, but I'm going to have a look at what is common to them, and hopefully that will be of help when you consider where you're going to go for finance and how to apply. Could I have the next slide, please? Well, just this is a very straightforward report on the market for small business finance. Very hard to define small businesses in the sense of thinking about businesses with less than 250 employees as being small or medium sized, because small businesses, very small businesses, micro businesses, can have very different needs, and it's a totally different prospect to think about whether you should access and how much you should access of loans and grants if you're a micro business. So the marketplace is not only changing and sometimes doesn't function completely, it's also very hard to define. So we have some problems getting information about the market for small business finance, but as the latest information suggests that bank lending has continued to be the biggest source of small business finance. And there's been a slight fall, or the last reported year, there was a slight fall in what's described as alternative finance. I should define alternative finance because it isn't easy to do. It's basically anything that isn't financed from a bank or yourself when you're a business owner or in any form involved in decision making in the financial side of a business. A second thing to notice about the market is that well, you've obviously everyone will know about the kind of support that's been given since the start of the pandemic, but that has not changed any of the fundamentals about providing finance. One of the things that all the providers of finance have in common is the management of risk. They also have something else in common, which is very, very important when you're applying for finance, which is they want your business to succeed. And so the starting point for applying for any form of finance is to understand that you really must convince them that you must convince the provider of finance that there will be a good outcome from the provision of finance. In other words, a loan might seem to you like a sum of money. Why can't I get it? And you find resistance from a loan provider who can see more of the risk. And it's always a question of balancing. It's always a question of balancing risk and reward. Next slide, please. If I can have it, thank you. It's a good idea before you actually make an application for any form of loan or grant to think about the purpose. You can look at it from the side of the provider. A bank is a commercial organization. They have business needs, but equally they are the organization that makes loans to businesses. That's their core activity. The reason for making that finance to a business, or getting that finance into a business, is either short-term need or long-term growth. Some businesses and some business owners, it's got to be said, wait too long for profits to come in, for profits to be retained in the business before they invest. And other small businesses grow too soon and miss opportunities. And again, not only do you have to balance risk, you also have to consider timing when you're looking for a source of finance. And if there was one thing maybe you won't hear generally that I want to say, it's that a finance provider is as interested in your success just as much as you are. So although they may be giving you a hard time in terms of how long it takes to understand your business and how long it takes to make a decision, it's because, well, they do have the priority of not losing the money. They do have a concern about being able to show that it has been a sensible decision to make a loan or to make a grant. But overriding that, they are judged on the success of your business just as much as you will want that success. So never forget that when you're going through the systems of applying for finance, which can be frustrating, it can take a long time, and you have to understand that that's the nature of this particular beast, that finance comes with risk comes with a long process of consideration. Fraser, can I have the next slide, please? It's probably best if I talk about the overall picture of the sources of finance, as you then will, through the rest of the presentation this morning, go through different types of finance. And let's put them in context. The smaller the business, the more likely it is to be entirely funded by the funds of the owner. That's purely a result of the size and the scope of the spending that the businesses carry out. But the fact is that using only internal funds limits the prospects for business growth. But as a source of finance, the owner's own investment, the owner's own funds are the most easy to access and the simplest to control and to use. But your own money, if you're a business owner, your own money is not free. Your own money comes with one cost, and it's usually an opportunity cost. It's usually what you can no longer do because you invested your own money in the business. It is not cost-free. You can't invest that money again, and that is something that it's an important message to get across from people who are resistant or reluctant to think in terms of external finance. Now, very few business owners are reluctant to consider grants because, by definition, that's money that you don't have to pay back. But of course, they're not widely available. They are available in certain circumstances, subject to criteria. Who, for example, what organization would provide free money to a business, another business? What organization would be so motivated? You're going to find it's a public sector organization, it's local government, or it's central government, because they are there, or one of their objectives is to promote economic development. So grants, by definition, you don't have to pay back. There are occasions, of course, when grants are recovered when the criteria are not met, but you don't have to pay the money back. Quite the opposite of a loan. A loan is something with a very clear plan for repayment of that money over a certain period of time. And typically, the smaller businesses will stop there. Larger businesses or medium-sized businesses will think more in terms of external investors who take the risk away from, or part of the risk away from, the business owner, will invest in the business for a return by way of a share of the profits. There we're talking about risk capital. So there's a big divide. Smaller businesses will use the first three of the sources of finance that I've put on that slide. As your business grows, you may look at the foothills of equity investments, but it's generally speaking, £50,000 may be maybe £100,000 before equity investments, serious equity investments, are brought into play. And so that's the scene that you look at when you're looking at sources, when you're looking at applying for finance. The next slide, please, Fraser. I think you will already get this message, so I won't spend much time on this. Grants do have complex eligibility criteria. Normally, they're very specific. They may not seem very fair and reasonable, but and they may include you having to put in a significant amount of money yourself. But my overriding point would be here to understand the eligibility criteria. They're not going to bend, they're not going to break. If the grant is only available in one town, it's only available in that town. There's no point in applying and saying, well, could you, I'm only three houses away, I'm only on the other side of the street. They're not going to budge. Criteria like that are cast in stone when grants are made, because the grant isn't repayable. Thanks very much, Fraser. If I can have the next slide. So I'm not sure if we have anyone from a community development finance institution, which isn't the snappiest titles for organizations that provide finance that maybe banks would find doesn't meet their criteria. It's too risky, essentially. Community development financing institutions have sprung up throughout the country. There are around about 35 to 40 organizations, and I've given some examples there. They tend to operate on a regional level, but I can't say that always happens. Sometimes they're very local, but they tend to operate on, say, throughout the Northwest. But again, you'll have to look at their geographical remit. So when I spoke earlier about alternative finance, this was what I had in mind, that as a result of banks not being in a position to help businesses where their criteria just suggest to the bank that it's not appropriate on the grounds of risk, then often banks and other organizations have funded outfits that are banks without shareholders, that have the money that can, they're not officially banks, but they actually provide finance. They're regulated to provide loans between £10,000 and £150,000. Findingfinance.org.uk is a source of information about them, as is another website called responsiblefinance.org. And there isn't time to go into specific detail, but if a bank is unable to help you with your need for finance, then approach them. Next slide, please. And here again, I'm not going to go into that much detail about all of those things. They will be mentioned from time to time by other speakers, but just in case they're not, there's a list there of options that are open if a loan from a bank is not, as it usually is for business, the most common source of finance. There are times when alternatives must be sought, and crowdfunding, where you can actually raise capital from a large number of people using the internet, peer-to-peer lending. These are things that are available. You can also consider, maybe when your business is established rather than at startup, you can consider asset finance and private individuals to invest in your business, and invoice discounting or factoring as ways of financing your growth. Other speakers may speak about investments of over £25,000 in more detail, and that might be something where the Norton Powerhouse is involved. What I will say is that often finance is a package of things put together: your own money, loans, grants, maybe a bit of a form of equity investment in return for shares. That's the way it is. There's an extraordinary amount of information in detail on the British Business Bank's website, and they publish a finance guide that I'd certainly recommend to you. Next slide, please. Okay, so some simple rules. I could indeed spend a long time going through some of these aspects, but there isn't that amount of time. But just to point you in the right direction, and maybe give you 4 simple rules when applying for finance. You have to have a business plan. The business plan, above all, needs to have a real emphasis on what the money is for and why it's needed and what the end result will be. Your compelling vision for the business. Everything you say, you need to prove, and that's, You've heard I'm an accountant. That's where the financial side of it comes in. That's why you need facts and figures. And I've already mentioned, make sure you're within the criteria or the rules of the finance provider. Another slide, please. Thank you. Again, hours and hours of advice could be spent on writing a business plan. You can go on a course for several weeks on writing a business plan. At its simplest level, there are 5 things in a business plan. You introduce the business idea. You explain what resources you have, premises, equipment, people. You show your marketing strategy. You unveil your marketing strategy, and it has to be impressive and it has to be believable. You present financial figures that are credible. You present figures. Dave has already mentioned the cash flow, the profit and loss accounts, but you can provide figures of different kinds to show the cash in your business and the profits that you're likely to make in the future. And I think a good way to end a business plan is to talk about the future. Don't include unnecessary things in your business plan, but probably more people most often when they're applying for finance don't give enough detail. Don't go into enough detail. You're not writing a novel. It doesn't matter how much you repeat yourself. It doesn't matter how dull some aspects of it. Don't worry about that. Get the information across. And could I have another slide, please, Razor? So to kind of come towards the end of what I'm doing, the cash flow forecast is the most important document from a financial point of view in your business plan. You're simply reflecting what will happen in the next 12 months if all goes according to plan. It's very much a forecast of, if all things stay the same, this is what it will be like. And so these are some things that you should bear in mind. Use your market research, predict your expenses, and make sure that you kind of understand seasonal variations as well. I'll just have my last slide up, Fraser, and just briefly show you that's what it would look like. So if you have a copy of these slides, you can, I'm short of time now, so if you have a copy of these slides, you can see that simply I'm putting what I expect, or I will put what I expect and what I have evidence to back up will happen in the next 6 months or 12 months, and saying this is it, these are the income, this is the cash coming in, this is the cash coming out. Because what I can't do as a business owner, what I can't do as a grant or loan applicant is to show I'm going to run out of funds, I'm going to run out of cash. I've got to have the cash to carry on in business. And so cash flow forecasts, they look like that, and you can certainly spend some time understanding them, but that's the role really of advice, getting advice when you make your plan and you apply for finance. And I think that brings everything to an end. I think that's my last slide. So thank you.
Thanks, Mike. That's really useful information and some really good advice there. And as we said, the slides are going to be available. So certainly we appreciate there's a lot of information being shared today. So so you can go back and review these. And there will be opportunities as well to put questions to the panel towards the end of this seminar. So unfortunately, Chris Corral, who's the programme manager for the University of Chester, is unable to join us today, but hopefully I'm going to do him justice and actually go through the programme of support that they have available. So Fraser, if you could do the next slide, please. So the Cheshire Warrington Business Growth Programme is an ERDF funded programme, and it is actually fully funded support for pre-starts, new startups and established businesses. The support comes in a range of variety of workshops, one-to-one support, networking opportunities with other businesses that are already on the programme, signposting to other business support that's available in the area, and obviously sharing with you information about small grants that are available. There's 3 key delivery partners for the programme. Those partners are the University of Chester, Manchester Metropolitan University, and also Reese Heath College. If you could just go to the next slide, please. Just to also mention, sorry, about the workshops do actually cover a variety of information, which is topics such as how to set up a company, how to set up a legal entity, HR advice, social media, etc. So there's a lot of wealth of experience and information shared on these boot camps. This programme actually does come with a grant scheme. You do have to be signed up to the business growth programme in order to access the grant scheme. The grants are available for up to £15,000 of expenditure, that is net expenditure, and grants can be offered up to 50% towards that expenditure. And obviously that expenditure needs to be in relation to business growth. There does have to be seen to be tangible outcomes to that investment. So, for example, the investment might be in relation to innovation, which is then going to lend itself to job creation. Any grant funding that is available is normally attached to an outcome that the funding needs to be seen to be of benefit to the economy. So typical things that are funded are website development, helping with design, marketing collateral, helping for startups, new production, machinery, ICT equipment, and of course consultancy that's linked to new product development and innovation, which relates to the startup. Next slide, please. So just want to also share some upcoming events that are available. The links again will be on the slides and are on the slide in front of you. There's a startup boot camp, which is called Grow, Thrive and Survive. That is actually starting on Monday, January the 17th, and runs through to Monday, the 7th of February. And again, details are found on Eventbrite. And then there's a further boot camp coming up, which is Sustainable Business, which is relating to people, planet and profit. And that starts on Monday, the 28th of February, running through to the 21st of March. And all details and times of the events are on the Eventbrite links that you can see on the screen. Next slide, please. So for more information, you can actually go to the university's website and have a look at the business resources that are actually available for you. And also have a look at the designated website, which is for the programme, which is Cheshire Warrington Business Growth Programme, and the website link is there. So hopefully I've done Chris justice there and covered everything that needed to be covered. So I think that's the last slide. So Fraser, if you want to go to the next slide, please. So I'd like to welcome to the seminar Glenn Hyde and Dave Martin from GC Finance. Now, Glenn and Dave are actually going to talk to you directly. However, in the meantime, we have actually got a short video that we're going to play for you, which gives you background of the startup loans. Now, this video may open in a different window, but it will come back to you will be able to see it, and you will come back to the presentation after the video. So over to you, Fraser, to play the video.
Business ideas can spring up from almost anywhere. It might be a eureka moment, a chance conversation, or it might be the realization that your hobby could make you money. After hand-making her own clothes and constantly being asked where she'd bought them, Anna decided her passion could be her career. She just needed the funding to get her business off the ground. And that's where startup loans came in, with Anna able to apply for a loan of up to £25,000 to start her business. The application process is simple, with applicants asked for basic personal details and permission to run a credit check to get things moving. Once you've successfully passed our credit check, you'll be able to complete your application, entering important details about your business. Anna used some of the free guides and templates on the Startup Loans site, as well as support from a business advisor to pull together all of the simple business information she needed. This included her business plan, cash flow forecast, and personal survival budget. We use these documents to assess whether your business is viable and whether you can afford the loan. If you need help with those, just speak to us. There you saw how our advisor deemed Anna as having a viable business. You also saw Anna say she'd use the funding to build a website and start a marketing campaign to attract more customers and make her dream business a reality. Anna's preparation gave her a better chance of succeeding with her application. But it wasn't just a loan she received. She was also offered 12 months of free mentoring with an experienced business advisor. Anna's mentor answered any questions she had about the challenges her business faced and helped keep her venture moving forward. So why not get started and use startup loans to make your business dream a reality today?
Morning all, I'm Glenn Hyde. I manage the startup loan team at GC Business Finance based in Manchester, along with my colleague Dave, who has recently joined me, experience with microfinance. Between us, we've probably got in excess of about 25 years, and Dave's probably about 20 years, so about 45 years experience in the banking sector, which we've brought over to startup loans. I have a team of 5 business advisors and 2 mentors, as mentioned in the video clip there, who assist people. We are extremely busy with startup businesses, which when you speak to a lot of people with pandemic and COVID going on, it's been a bit of a different story. But during the 2 years pandemic, we've had a lot of people who've applied where they're really chasing the dream of they've been sat at home, maybe been on furlough or sadly lost their jobs, and they've had that dream of starting the business. Obviously not eligible for C bills or B bills criteria on that, and that's where we've stepped in really and filled the void and made a lot of dreams come true for people who've always wanted to start the businesses. I'm just going to hand over to Dave now. I'll probably speak a bit more about what he's done within his business with microfinance before he's come over to startup loans as well.
Cheers, Glenn. Thank you. It's been a tricky period for all. There's no denying that. There's no hiding that. And to see that whether it's Glenn and now myself and the team in startup loans have been able to help get them dreams off the ground, or previously before, I think it was Dave touched on the microfinance side of things, which was 25 up to 100,000. That was what I did previously. Now, I think they both very eloquently put and in excellent detail the kind of things that financiers look for. And I know Glenn will echo this, that during our time within finance, it's sometimes hard for businesses to understand where to go to get the support they need, and more importantly, how to display it. Now, for startup businesses, it tends to be a little bit tougher to get the finance through your bank. It's not impossible, it's just a little bit tougher, because banks like to see that little bit of trading history before they will lend you any funds. And again, that's the market they're in. That's totally understandable. As Glenn has put, that's where we step into the void. We look at within startups now, businesses that are 0 to 2 years old, and it's making sure that that finance that you're looking to apply for is viable. The last thing we would want to do is lend you money that you can't afford to pay back and will inevitably end up really stressing you out. So we really do our best here within the team, myself, Glenn, the other guys, to analyse what you send over and to try and help manage you through the process. Because again, that's been something which has been sadly lacking previously, historically, whereby financiers assume that businesses know what they're doing. They don't. You need that help. You need that support. Anybody does. When something is new to you and it's alien, it's awful. It's horrible. But what we are here to do is help, is support. So if you do need any help with your cash flow forecasts, with your business plans, no question, big, small, whatever it may be, please by all means reach out to us and ask as part of the application. There is no such thing as a stupid question. There really isn't. If we can help you put down your business in a way that makes it more understandable or reasonable for financiers to maybe get a grasp of, that's what we're here to do. Now, I know we've got a presentation from Natwest coming up, and I'd like to think that, again, she'll say exactly the same. We're not here to be at each other's throats. We're here to work in conjunction with banks. And having worked for a bank previously and having worked with GCBF on numerous occasions, whether it is startup, whether it is microfinance, whether it is the guys in Angels, all we want is businesses to succeed. So if you want to get your bank manager involved as well, again, we're more than happy to chat with them. They'll tell us any issues, any reasons why they might not be able to lend to you at the current present time. And what we will try and do is help make you future fundable, so to speak. We will provide the finance in the short term if we can do, with a view to then handing it back to the bank, as again, was it Mike or Dave said, hopefully at a cheaper rate. So one takeaway from this, I would say, please don't be afraid to ask questions. If you do need any help or support, myself, Glenn, the team are here to support. Send them in to us and we'll do our best to help.
Yeah, just wanted to add with the startup as well, myself and Dave will be looking to run webinars for people. For the majority of us on the call, we understand business plans, what should be in there. We understand cash flows and personal budgets. Well, a lot of our applicants, they've got a massive potential, a really good business idea, but it's in effect, how do I put pen to paper, which is where myself and Dave step in. We're looking to run some webinars, which are normally over a 2-day period. The first day will be how do I write a business plan, and it gives the chance for new startup businesses to be on a call together and to share their experiences. And I've had one a few weeks ago where I sort of took a step back and the people on the call were doing all the talking because we're coming up with, oh, I've come up against that and I've done this and this is how I did it. And it was really good to get the interactions from all the new business owners. And those are all ready with their business plans. The second day, we'll look at cash flows, understanding what goes in there, understanding the seasonality of the business, etc. And again, once we've got the cash flows, we're more or less ready to then look at that business plan, look at the cash flow, and hopefully get the end goal of giving the customer that money they need to start.
Spot on. Them two documents as well, a business plan and a cash flow forecast. One thing I would say is they're not the sort of documents that you do once and then just ignore. It's a working template. Go back to it as much as you can, because what you put on that business plan right at the very start, as your business is just getting up and getting moving, it's probably right at that time, but just think about how much has changed, whether it's outside in the market or anywhere else. There's so much constant change. Use it as a working document. You can come back to it, you can have a look, part of your business plan, right, I need to approach that customer, I'm going to do this, I'm going to try and market that, and you might well be able to go, well, that's worked brilliantly, that hasn't worked at all, I can get rid of that, but because I didn't try that, this worked in its place. It's a great whiteboard, so to speak, for you to come back to visit, to make sure that you are taking that business in the right direction. Because for as much as we all like to think we're perfect, we're not. There's things you will forget, there's things you will miss. So use it as a working, ongoing template. And with your cash flow forecast, sometimes you'll put figures down from top to bottom. In your head, you think the business is viable, but then at the end of it, you're thinking, oh God, that is really close, that is really tight. I need to do something different moving forward. And that might be renegotiating with your suppliers. It might mean renegotiating with your customers, increasing margins, anything along them lines. But again, a good ongoing working document to help you keep a track, to make sure, and again, this is the same with business as it is personal, you've got more coming in than you have going out. So like I said, finally, just to finish from me, please ask any questions. Do not be afraid to ask. We're here to help.
Yeah, definitely. I'd echo that. There's many applicants who I've personally assisted over the 3 years I've been here, and they will just send a question, and we're very open and honest here, where I will actually say to the applicant, you know, if you feel it's a silly question, it's probably a question I've heard before. So please, as Dave said, do not be afraid of asking it. We'd rather you ask it than go out there and you could make that wrong decision.
Cheers, Karen. Cheers,
Thank
Fraser.
you. Yeah, thank you so much for that useful information. And again, you know, if anyone wants to follow up any of that advice and follow up on the webinars that they've discussed, then there's an opportunity to do that, to contact at the end. So thank you so much. So we have one final speaker, and that is Sarah Bailey, who is Director for Business Banking at the Northwest. So a very busy job for Sarah, but she's going to go through obviously the opportunity that Natwest has for businesses. So thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Karen. Yeah, as Karen mentions, my name is Sarah Bailey. I'm Director for Business Banking for Natwest. And yes, it's been a bit of a busy couple of years, but I just wanted to kind of go through today exactly what we would be able to support you with. And first of all, give you a little bit of a taste on why Natwest. So Fraser, if you want to move on for me. Okay, so first of all, I will talk a lot about Natwest. Obviously, I'm quite passionate about them. I do work for them, but just to bear in mind, kind of this is open to obviously all banks, and it's very kind of down to what you require from your bank and what you're looking for. So just to give you an overview within Natwest, our purpose is that we look to champion potential. Mike said it very clearly before. We are interested in your success as a business because actually that means that we're successful as a business. So, you know, it's absolutely key that we work with you. We also work with all the partners that I've talked today. So we work alongside all the organisations within the local area, not just banks, not just financial institutions, just to make sure that actually we can offer the right support. And for us, that's about signposting as well. So that's about you having that relationship with the bank, but actually us giving you advice that actually it might be that you need to go and talk to Dave or Mike or Glenn or anybody else that you've heard from today, because actually they can support in different ways than what the bank can. And the traditional things that the bank can do. The bank itself, so Natwest as itself, we have 3 areas of focus at the moment. So we are climate, enterprise and learning, and actually that forms part of our purpose to make sure actually we are delivering and supporting our customers in the right way. So if we just move on, sorry. So we're award winning, so we think of things in a slightly different way. We've realised at the moment the world is going digital, and actually we're moving with that as well. So we've launched new features, we've launched new products, we've made sure that we're using artificial intelligence to allow people quicker, easier, faster access to their banking needs and what they need to be supported with within their business. We realise that actually whilst you do have a relationship manager at Natwest, and it's essential that you have a relationship with them, you know, so they can understand your business and support you correctly. But actually you might need to do things at 2 o'clock in the morning if you're up worrying about something, or 10 o'clock at night, because that's when you do your finances. And actually we provide the services and we provide the resources to allow you to do that as well. As I've just mentioned, we are award winning, so we've got quite a few different categories there that we've won awards for over the last couple of years. You know, and again, that's to do with our innovation and our enterprise team as well, and really kind of making it customer centric and focused on actually delivering what you need to support your business. And that's whether you're a startup or whether you're a business all the way through to kind of a multinational organisation. I just wanted to highlight here all the different types of solutions that we can offer. And again, it's quite a busy page there, but it gives you loads of different opportunities to be able to talk to your bank. It's not just about the traditional sources of finance, so your loans and overdrafts. We do those, but we also do a lot more. And for us, it's about building a bespoke package for you. So it's establishing what your business needs, it's having that relationship, and it's us allowing us to deliver those solutions. And they might be things that you've not thought of before. They might be things that actually we think that might help you. We never force you into anything. It's always about kind of having that discussion, see whether it will help the business, see whether it will improve what you are looking for and help you achieve your goals from that side of things as well. Nobody's expecting you to all know all these. You know, this is our job within the bank to actually put these ideas on the table for you. But as I say, just wanted to highlight all the slightly different channels that we work with around payments, collections, international finance and trade if you needed it, and also obviously your traditional sources of finance, so your loans, your overdrafts and things along those lines as well. Thank you. So I wanted to highlight today as well kind of what our proposition is and what we can offer for you. So Business Builder is something that everybody that's on the call today can have a look at. It's on our website. It's completely free to you whether you bank with Natwest or not. And it really will kind of highlight and start to embed quite a lot of the things that people have spoken about today. So it's a virtual tool that will allow you to have a look at all sorts of different things. So it's digital learning, it gives you an online community, and it also gives you events. This is a 24-hour service, as I say, completely free, and allows you to upskill yourself in different areas. Now, some of it might be teaching you to suck eggs, some of it you might already know, but there will be lots of information on there that actually will help you. There's business planning webinars on there, there's videos around cash flow forecasting, we've got talks from kind of people like Joe Malone and people that have been through successful businesses. So absolutely, you know, it's for everybody. It'll allow you to help you if you're looking at growing your business or taking it to the next level. It'll help you validate any ideas that you've got. So if you are in a startup position and actually at the moment you're not quite sure whether that idea is going to work or not, our Business Builder system will actually help you do that. It'll help you kind of guide you in the direction of maybe kind of ideas and thoughts, and allow you to pivot that and think about new ways and things along those lines with actually you know, things you might not have thought about before when you sat at home. Just to give you an idea, there's digital learning on there as well. So again, quite short little snippets from there. So we've got you know, cost structure, revenue streams, financial management. They're all around half an hour to 40 minutes. And again, just allows you to go through a little bit of self-awareness, a little bit of mindset, making sure you're looking at the right things, making sure you're focusing on the right areas, and just allow you to kind of really help and support from that side of things as well. Just move on. And the biggest thing is that we give you an online community. We all know what it's like at the moment to sit at home on your own, not really wondering where to go for help, not really wondering how to get support. You know, it's quite daunting, and it's very daunting when you're doing that. I find it daunting, and I work for a big organisation with a team of people. It's even more daunting when you work for yourself and you're looking at that next step and worrying about those things. So we also provide you with that networking opportunity. So this allows you to kind of build a community around a Facebook community. So people that are going through similar circumstances to yourself. Allows you to do Q&A sessions with business managers, with different teams of people, other entrepreneurs that have been through it and maybe are 2 or 3 years down the line, and actually can kind of give you a little bit of guidance and support from that side. So really good opportunity there to actually kind of come together with some like-minded people across the country that you might not have been in a position to talk to before. And then we also provide some events as well. So again, I've talked about mindset, I've talked about you know, the customer and the business model, but we also kind of provide you with designated and specially designed support events that actually will help you with that. So there's loads of things. There's just an example on there, and I know they're quite difficult to read on the webinar today, and the slides will be shared, but there's about 15 different sessions that you can join, and again, just listening to those will help you, guide you, raise more questions, answer some questions, and just really kind of hopefully point you in a good direction. But again, just allows you to meet new people, meet together with a group, ask some questions in a comfortable environment where no question is too silly, and actually if you're thinking it, probably everybody else is as well. Okay, so I'm going to move on again from that as well. I've already covered that side of things. So next slide, please. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of cover off as well the traditional things that the bank does, just to give you a highlight on the different sources of finance. And everybody today has talked about how the different types of finance is really important, and that relationship that you have with the bank. So that is vital, that relationship you have with the bank. If you're looking to grow your business, to start your business and to move on to the next level, it is about having a regular conversation with them and keeping them updated on what things are needed. People have spoken today about the need for a business plan, the need for updated financials, all those again are really good to kind of support if you are approaching the bank for finance, but they're also essential for you to actually kind of continue your business, and using them as pillars to look back and look where your business has come from. Make sure you're hitting your milestones and your KPIs or what you're setting yourself for the business, and then that plan for the future as well. I think somebody mentioned it a little bit earlier that we like to look at a little bit of history, and we do. So the bank here very much runs on risk, and actually we like to know what your business has been doing previously as well as is what's going to do in the future. But we all know the way of the world in the last couple of years, and actually we're leaning to a lot more projections now, a lot more focus on the future, and a lot more lead from that side of things as well. So don't be afraid to come and talk to the bank, whoever you bank with, whether you've been running for 2 months or you've been running for 20 years, there's absolutely something that we can sit down and have a conversation with you about, or point you in the right direction and introduce you to the right people if needed. So this just highlights a little bit of the loans. So you traditionally would look at loans and overdrafts with the business. So this just gives you a little bit of a highlight on what we can offer. So our loans traditionally go from 25 to 10 million, but we do them under 25,000 as well. We can do them anything up to 25 years, so we can make sure that payment profile for you is affordable. It's the right thing for the business as well, so we're not going to put you under any pressure from that side of things either. We offer a range of fixed and variable products. So again, you can manage your finances a lot more easily when you know what your outgoings are on a monthly basis. And we also have no fees or repayment charges for you to repay early or make lump sum reductions. One of our unique points within Natwest is that we don't offer that. Most other places do still offer, insist you have repayment fees as well. So again, it's something else that we offer to make sure we're supporting our customers, because actually we want our money back, and if you're doing really well as a business and you want to pay us back early, then we will gladly take that off you. So that just gives you a highlight on loans. So if we can move on. Overdrafts, a little bit the same. So traditionally you'll know and understand what an overdraft is. So this is all around the working capital of your business. So again, we use that through forecasting, we use that through projections to be able to establish what your business actually needs. So it's your traditional things, so it's buying stock, managing your debtors and creditors, and making sure that you've got the right facility in place there. And again, this isn't a case sometimes of you come in and asking for an amount and that's what we will look at. We will work with you to make sure that actually is the right amount for your business, and actually it's going to support what you need as a cash flow going forwards, because sometimes what you think you need and what your business actually needs can be two completely different things. So again, it was mentioned earlier that we might ask a lot of questions and the process might not be instant and overnight, but it means that we're actually getting to the right package of funding for you, so you don't have to keep coming back to the business, to the bank, and ask for more as you go forwards as well. And then we offer non-traditional things as well. So rapid cash is something that we brought in a couple of years ago. It's a type of invoice finance which is completely run by you. So it's not your traditional invoice finance or factoring that you may commonly know of. This allows you to manage your own payments. It allows you to be flexible, so you can turn them off and on when you want to actually invoice those people and invoice those clients, and just gives you complete flexibility and complete control over your own cash flow. So similar to an overdraft, it works on a cash flow basis, but it's a lot more flexible and a lot more control. Again, I won't go into the end detail on it now. It's something that we can, if you are interested in, we can pick up separately. Please do contact me, but it just gives you a highlighted of kind of what it means and those kind of key things there. And then we offer all sorts of other things around other things other than finance as well, because for us, finance isn't just the end of it. It's about keeping your business safe and making sure that you manage the risk, because that ultimately affects the finance within your business as well, and the funding elements. So again, another free product that I just wanted to highlight to you is Mentor Digital. So this is an option that we have within the bank for you to allow you to kind of support your business from an employment law and health and safety perspective, and also at the moment a coronavirus as well, because it's got a coronavirus hub on there. So it just allows you to do things such as entitlement calculators. So that allows you to work out what staff can have as holidays. It allows you to store documents on there that you need to for staff records, and it gives you constant updates with regards to the changes in the law. And we all know at the moment that's changing daily with what's happening with the Omicron. So it just allows you to continue have support from that as well. Again, another free product from us to help you make sure your business is successful. And then again, some of the speakers this year, today have talked about Swoop and the grant finder. Grant finders. So we offer the Swoop, which again is an offering through the bank that you can use off our website that helps you find that grant. So working with the businesses alongside today, this just allows you to kind of, again, late at night, if you wanted to have a look. There's no need to sign up or no need to actually have a bank account with us. And it just allows you to tap into some of the local authorities, the LEPs and the growth hubs that are local to us. So all the offerings that have been talked about by the presenters today would be featured on there, and just allows you to have a look at different options that you've got across the board, and things that might actually be relevant to you and your business that you might not have known about previously. I think that's everything from myself. So again, just gives you a little bit of a whistle-stop tour of what Natwest can do, what the offering that we've got, but by all means, please get in touch if you need to.
Thank you, Sarah. That was fantastic. There's a lot of services and products there available. So again, all the details of those services are available on the slides for you to review. So thank you for staying with us. Appreciate we've ran over. We were a little bit late in starting, so do appreciate. So really, it's just a couple of slides left for me to present. So next slide, please. Just to cover off the questions, we do appreciate there's a lot of information that's been shared today. So we wanted to give you an opportunity to put questions to the panel, but rather than do that live on this session, we really wanted to encourage you to reflect on the information that's been shared with you today and email those questions in directly to us. So if you can email any questions to info@blueorchid.co.uk, we will share those with the panel and obviously get you a response as well. But have a think about the information that's been sent and then send us the questions to info@, and we'll be sure to get those responses back to you. And then next slide, please, is just to let you know there are future events coming up. As I said, the Access to Finance programme does support further seminars, and there will be, these seminars are in partnership with the Growth Hub. So today's seminar video will be available on our website, on our webpage at Access to Finance or A2F events. Please do have a look on our website for the dates of future events. They're likely to be, the January one is towards the end of January. We're just waiting for confirmation for a couple of speakers so that we can actually give you the date on that. That will be funding for growth. Then we've got research and development, tax credits, tier 1, business support, cash flow management and growth finance planning, all coming up in the next quarter. And then just finally, really, is just a couple of bits of information about the programs that we're running. Next slide, please. So currently, Blue Orchid are actually supporting on a number of projects in Cheshire and Warrington, the Access to Finance grant programme, which is the seminars. Please don't forget the opportunity of the one-to-one support to help you with a grant application or loan application. Please contact us for more information about that, and additionally the growth grants. Also as well, within the Access to Finance grant programme, we do put out live tenders. Please do go on our website and have a look for those opportunities. You may be a startup business, but you may actually see that there's opportunities for you to tender for new business opportunities. Please do have a look at that. The more businesses we can support within Cheshire and actually work with Cheshire businesses to support them, the better. We are actually involved in the Cheshire West and Chester Invest Fund grant. Details of that is on the Let's Talk Business website. So please do have a look at that. That is additional grant funding for growth businesses. And again, we have got the events which mentioned. And finally, Cheshire Springboard project is supporting individuals back to work. So if you're a business looking to employ individuals and have any job vacancy opportunities, do please get in touch. And then last but not least, we've just got a couple of useful links we wanted to share with you. Dave mentioned earlier about the 56 pages of information from the business bank. So please see the information on the link there. And as I said, Dave also mentioned that we do work across 3 local authorities within Cheshire and Warrington, which is Cheshire West and Chester, Cheshire East and Warrington. They all have their own business support within their websites and within their areas. So please do look on their webpage for further information about any potential grant funding or business support that they're offering. So all that's left for me to say is thank you so much to our guest speakers today, Dave Sadlington, Mike Byrne. Chris unfortunately couldn't come, but thank you for sharing those slides. Glyn and Dave, and finally but not least is Sarah Bailey. So thank you so much, and thank you to all the Blue Orchid team for helping put this seminar together. And then last but not least, I want to take this opportunity to wish you all a very happy Christmas and an absolutely prosperous new year. Thank you for joining.